I believe Ms. Hoctor is not here tonight. There's somebody from her office that wants to speak up for her. I would give them the same amount of time as I did Pismo, if you'd like to do that.
Canal.
Canal, there we go.
Well, thank you. I hadn't expected this, but I'll say a few words. Lori Hoctor couldn't be here today. She was appointed to be on the Governor's Forensic Investigation Council, and unfortunately, when these councils meet, they meet in Seattle, they meet in Spokane, and so she has to be in Spokane at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for a 4-hour meeting, and then she will turn around and drive back, but she went up tonight. And this has to do with the integrity of our forensic investigations working with the Washington State Patrol. So she wanted to be here tonight, but she kind of gets in touch with the governor's office and she doesn't show up for the council. I've been working for Lori Hoctor since she took office, and she took office in January 2011. A little bit about her, just from my perspective as an employee. I didn't know her before I went to work for her. As you can tell, I am long in the tooth and have some gray hair. I started working when I was 16 years old in 1964, which was the year ERA was passed. And Lori Hoctor is 31 years younger than I am, and she's the best boss I've ever had. She is a good manager, and she knows how to keep the best talents in the office working, and it's taken us a while to build the team that we've built. But for example, a year ago, we were astonishingly fortunate enough to get an attorney from the Hood River area. He wasn't licensed here in Washington yet. It took us, we had to get him licensed. But he had been doing felony defense work in Hood River and in the Dalles for 23 years. He's death penalty qualified. We don't get to hire deputies in Klickitat County who are death qualified. When she hired me, I'd gone to law school when I turned 40, came back out to Goldendale, did a public defender gig for about 6.5 years, thought I was hot stuff. Went down to the big city. I practiced in Portland and Portland metro area, Vancouver, and just got the snot beat out of me. And learned I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Did a lot of civil work, did some criminal work, not very much. And then Lori decided to hire me to come back to be her chief. So for the first few years, I did the felony work. I supervised the appeals because I had quite a bit of appellate experience. One of the things Lori had campaigned on was that she would bring in-house not only all of the outsourced felony work, and Mr. Cannell alluded to it, yes, the prior administration paid 6 figures a year to a former deputy that they had who was in private practice in Spokane to do their appellate work and to come down and assist their chief deputy with felony work. We brought all of that in-house, so basically we lost an attorney. They did not give us that money into our budget. So we ended up doing this on the budget for the office without the outsourced counsel. The other thing she did was she stopped the outsourcing of the civil work that was routinely being asked by the other elected officials. Our clients, our office's clients are the other electeds, the sheriff, the auditor, the assessor, the board of commissioners. They have day-to-day legal questions. They have litigation. They have other issues. When we came in, almost all of that work had been advocated, and each elected would hire, they'd pick up the phone and call their law firm of choice. We had lawyers that we were hiring to do civil work that were $600 an hour. Okay? So we do have some outsourced civil work now in very specialized areas, land use planning areas that are tricky, zoning issues. But what Lori Hoctor does, no, she's not upstairs trying felony cases. I try felony cases. Brian Aaron tries felony cases. The Young Cup deputy, Jessica Bly, we call them Young Cups when we're bringing them along. They're new, they're out of law school. She's getting qualified to try C felony cases. Because you have to try a certain number at the district court level before you can try your C felonies. We bring them along then, and it's the public defender standards as well. Then you have to try X number of C felonies by yourself before you can try a B, and then you have to try X number of B and do them a certain way before you can get them into the A felonies, and it takes a while to move up into whether you're considered competent by the Supreme Court of this state to try certain types of cases. But that's not what we need our manager for. She handles all of the requests for opinions from the electeds. They say, well, can we do this? What about that? What happens if this thing happens over here? Would you please take a look at our Public Disclosure Act page and our form and make sure it meets the law? We have stacks of those that come in. Now that we have Mr. Aaron, I've been freed up. I assist her with that. There's a lot of civil work. I actually have tried a civil case, and we've got some other civil litigation going where I will be trying civil cases rather than having them outsourced to outside counsel. So there's a lot that's done in order to keep our grants with the state. The elected has to be on certain committees, has to take on a certain amount of kind of public service for the state, for the Washington Association of Prosecuting Attorneys. There are some outside pulls. During Lori's first year, she was given something of a pass, and then she was told in no uncertain terms, if you want to keep your grant money coming, and you want to keep these other things coming, you're going to have to spend a certain amount of time going to these various different events. The other thing that we do in our office is that we are also the county coroner. In counties with a population under, I think it's 40,000, the prosecuting attorney is also the coroner. All of us deputies rotate and take turns being deputies, being deputy coroners. We take our coroner duty. Lori Hoctor takes her coroner duty. She is about to make us the first county in the state that is a prosecutor coroner. She's getting us certified. We're going to be the first prosecutor coroner county in the state that is certified. She's working on mass fatality mock-ups. She's working on the national defense models, working with the other emergency services in the county to make sure that we have unified, coordinated responses in event of terrorist attack, mass fatalities, other things like that. So there's a lot that she's doing that doesn't involve the day out trying of felony cases. Now that's the fun part of the job. I call it sex, drugs, rock and roll. I mean, it is my favorite. And that's, I'm a child of the 60s, obviously. But, you know, there's what I'd like to say on her behalf. There are certainly things about the numbers. We will be addressing the numbers when we talk about them. Yes, there are delays, but in this county, we have only 3 people on the public defender contract for all of our felonies. And those people are practicing in Oregon, some of them are practicing down in Skamania County. We have a week on here in Klickitat County, then there's a week on down in Skamania, and they are the ones who come to the court and they say, I haven't had a chance to write that suppression memo. I haven't had a chance to get this done. We're still working with the prosecutor to negotiate something. If a defense attorney comes into court and says, I can't get the job done, the judge has to grant a continuance because there is a constitutional right to effective assistance of counsel. I was jumping up and down and screaming and threatening to kick the judge's desk and everything just a couple of weeks ago on a case that's been continuing and continuing, and the defendant went out on a warrant status, and then we finally get him picked up, and he hires this big fancy name out of Seattle, and that guy can't be bothered to show up in court, and so finally he comes in, I'm ready to go to trial, and he says, I need a continuance or we're going to take this up on appeal. And he got his continuance. You know, this is a case where it's going to go to trial a year after we made the arrest, when I have objected to every single continuance and every single time. This guy dumped his first attorney, didn't like him. Ended up getting another attorney, goes out, doesn't show up in court, he's gone for several months on warrant status. I mean, these things happen. Granted, we could be more mean with the defense bar, and perhaps we should be. Maybe one of the things that happens in a small county is when we know these people and when we understand the stressors they're under, we're not going to say to every single person, no, you can't do this. Maybe that's the way that would be more effective to do it, but we try to work. We try to find the best solutions. Some of our dismissals are because we're taking cases out of, okay, we've got the strangulation case. Domestic spouse strangles other domestic spouse. That's a B-level felony. Strangulation, cutting off the air supply is a B-level felony. However, the victim says, I love him. have budget cuts in the Department of Corrections. We cannot get post-conviction supervision from the Department of Corrections at the state level on a felony. We can get it here locally. We can get it with, we can get this with adult probation with the supervision. We can get treatment. We can get up to a year, 2 years of active post-conviction supervision for people, because the chances are this couple's going to get back together again. So the case gets dismissed. It gets dismissed in Superior Court. It gets recharged as an assault fourth, domestic violence down in District Court. Yeah, that shows up on our stats. We also, if someone has 3 or 4 or 5 felony cases, active cases going multiple counts in each, we might consolidate all of them for resolution. All of them, dismiss this, this, and this, grab these charges out of
So to
these.
be fair, we need to...
We'll do it. Anybody have any questions for me? Yes?
How many hundreds of thousands of dollars would you estimate the county has saved by not outsourcing all these questions that you were discussing earlier?
Oh, Lord. You know, I don't know. I'm guessing it's, I know that on the one we've got in the $100,000 range on the criminal side. I'm thinking it's somewhere, and I'm going to try to go low. I'd say probably $200,000 or better on the, $100,000 a year, and probably $200,000 or better on the other outsourcing.
Has your office seen any of that money coming into, have you received any grant or fund increase?
No. It's not fair. Anybody else? Kate Mathews. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the and I believe we have Darlene Johnson here tonight. If she could wait a little bit before to answer the questions, we will go on with our business. And if everybody has finished voting their ballots, if Chris would pick those up, I'd appreciate it. And we will count it. And we'll go on to the rest of the meeting. Again, please.